G'day, Ben from Melbourne here, and today we're going to do the first one for 2024 of Let's Have a Listen, and I want to focus on Rowland S. Howard's masterpiece of a record teenage snuff film from 1999. First, I'd like to give a little bit of background. Rowland S. Howard, probably most famous for his work as a guitarist in The Birthday Party. Like a lot of people my age, I discovered The Birthday Party after already being into Nick Cave and backtracking and realizing that The Birthday Party were full of amazing musicians. And the guitar sound was like nothing I had ever heard before. And anyway, I was intrigued with what Rowland S. Howard did next because it was a lot easier to find a lot of the Nick Cave stuff being, one which with a much higher profile than Rowland. But he's had a very varied and storied career. Some big gaps in there as well due to substance abuse and mental health issues, unfortunately. And sadly, we lost him. It's probably over 10 years ago now. From liver cancer, I believe it was. But anyway, he's a huge influence on Australian music, and I think probably underground music in general. He first started, that I know of, with a band called the Young Charlatans with Ollie Olsen, who probably was better known for being involved in electronic music later on. But that was the really early days of the Melbourne scene. By the time he met Nick Cave in The Boys Next Door, which already existed without Rowland S. Howard, Nick Cave's been, I think it's on the Rowland S. Howard documentary, said that Rowland turned up, he was fully formed with his look, his playing, and his very strong opinions on the way things should be. And of course, his contribution to The Boys Next Door was his song Shivers, which has become like almost a standard in Australian music. So many people have covered it. I knew it before I even knew that it stemmed back so far, and one of the great Australian guitarists wrote that song. Nick Cave has been on the record to say he regrets that he sang it. He said it should have been Rowland S. Howard. This is their debut. It's A Side of Two Halves, where you have a very young, kind of naive, new wave-ish punk influenced band, and then on the second side, similar vein, but you can hear things are starting to get wonderfully out of control with Rowland's guitar playing and his whole aesthetic. And then next, of course, I won't go through all of their albums because quite a few, is The Birthday Party, which is what The Boys Next Door became. Same members, but a much more aggressive, confrontational sound, fueled very much by Rowland's really original guitar playing. Has a tone and style like no other. Possibly him and Ed Cooper, my two favourite Australian guitarists, and probably my two favourite guitarists of all time. Just if you're looking for shredding and a million notes, these aren't your guys. They're all about mood and tone, and also know when not to play as well, which is just as important. Birthday Party, a lot's been said about them already. I don't need to tell you. Legendary band, around from early 80s to about 83, I think it was. And then Nick Cave, of course, went off, formed Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, and Mick Harvey followed him from The Birthday Party and remained a member of the Bad Seeds for a number of years. And Tracy Pugh, the bass player, returned to Australia to study. Unfortunately, died at a young age. I think he had complications with an aneurysm from memory. I may have that wrong, but it was a very sudden death anyway. And then Rowland joined Simon Bonney's Crime and the City Solution, which, funnily enough, also Mick Harvey was playing in this band, and also the Bad Seeds at the same time. They've just recently reissued the latter Chrome and City Solution albums, which are fantastic, but the first two I'd love to see out again, which feature all of Rowland's amazing guitar playing. And if you've ever seen the Wim Wenders film Wings of Desire, there's an absolutely show-stealing moment with Rowland, who, in a Angus Young kind of way, not a frenetic kind of way, just as in stealing the spotlight from the singer. It's just cool as a cucumber with a dart hanging out of his mouth on the stage in a club in one of the scenes in Wings of Desire. Fantastic stuff. Crime the City Solution, Room of Lights was debut. I think it was Six Bells Chime in particular. Love that song. Very beautiful, haunting guitar playing on that. Just a couple of others. This is a 12-inch called The Dangling Man, Chrome and City Solution again. The second full-length one, Just South of Heaven, which Rowland also plays on. And finally, the Kentucky Click Adventure 12-inch. Couple of collaborations that Rowland did. Wedding Hotel with Nicky Sudden of the Swell Maps. And a few times he's been out and collaborated with Lydia Lunch. And you can see also on this one is Tracy Pugh, formerly of The Birthday Party, and that guy Thurston Moore from Sonic Youth. Great 12-inch of Lydia Lunch and Rowland doing Some Velvet Morning, the Lee Hazelwood Nancy Sinatra classic. And then this one, Shotgun Wedding, which is credited to both Rowland and Lydia. Weirdly, is it on this one? I can't remember. Yeah, In My Time of Dying, the Led Zeppelin song. Yes, if you know Rowland S. Howard and the aesthetic of the whole Birthday Party, not a song you would expect him or Lydia Lunch to cover, actually. But for me, Endless Fall is the track on this. And then Rowland and his brother Harry, who had previously played together in Crime and the City Solution, would form their own band called These Immortal Souls. This is a 12-inch of Marry Me, Lie, Lie. And also another swell map on this, Epic Soundtracks, Genevieve McGuckin as well. Fantastic band, These Immortal Souls, late 80s into the early 90s. And this is the only full-length one I have on vinyl. There's another one called I'm Never Gonna Die Again, I think. This one's Get Lost, Don't Lie. And happily, both of those albums and an album just called Extras, which I guess is what the title says, all of the extra stuff that they record is being reissued this year. So really looking forward to that. These Immortal Souls are the first ones where Rowland becomes a true frontman as well as the guitarist handles all of the vocals. I've heard some people in the VC, they can't get their head around Rowland's kind of monotonish voice, but I think it works perfectly for the music. It's dark, dramatic music, and I don't think you really want a big histrionic, my balls are caught in a vice, high 70s rock style of singing. And then the one that we're going to feature today, which came out in 1999 after a long time of nothing from Rowland. He was playing like small shows throughout the 90s to little crowds, unfortunately. I was lucky enough to see him several times, and that's Teenage Snuff film, come out in 1999. We'll get back into that. And then another 10-year gap due to depression and drug dependency, and then yeah, pop crimes, which barely 12 to 18 months later he was gone. And I also got to see him around this time. Fantastic. Both of these solo records are amazing records, and should be considered Australian classics in my opinion. And then a few years back they released this posthumous beautiful box set called The Six Strings That Drew Blood, and this covers a bit of everything. You've got some Boys Next Door, Birthday Party, collaborations with Lydia Lunch, Nicky Sudden, of course, These Immortal Souls, a track he did with Magic Dirt, and some of his solo stuff as well. Really good set. I believe this is still pretty easy to get, at least I see it around in Australia. It's fantastic. They've done a great job. Sounds really good. But we're here to talk about Teenage Snuff Film, the 1999 record. I believe this has been reissued one other time. This one features Mick Harvey from the Bad Seeds for the right round on drums, and Brian Hooper from the Beast of Bourbon on bass. This is a double album. I think we've just got some wordage in here. I've got an original, and which is somewhere over there. But for the purpose of this, I'm showing this is the reissue, which was on Bloodlines, because they pretty much repackaged it exactly the way the original one was. So I'd just be like, here's the same record. Anyway, two covers on this, surprisingly. There's She Cried, renamed She Cried, the great girl group classic He Cried, but slowed down, dark and sinister, and also in a slowed down, dark and sinister way, White Wedding, the Billy Idol hit. But yeah, there's just highlights throughout. Dead Radio, Breakdown, I Burnt Your Clothes, Exit Everything, which I believe was the single at the time, and Autoluminescent, which was the name of the Rowland S. Howard documentary a few years back as well. This is a dark, brooding record. It's not a toe tapper. A lot of the songs are at a slower pace. Amazing guitar tone that Rowland achieves on this. There's beautiful use of strings on this for added grandeur and texture in there. And I think Rowland never sung better than he did on this. And a very underappreciated lyricist as well. Obviously not happy stuff, but an absolutely magnificent record. So I want to highlight a few tunes. First of all, let's play Dead Radio, the opening track. So, yeah, fantastic song. Breakdown, I won't play every single song, but Breakdown is the second song. Have a quick listen.
Crown Prince of a crying jag stuffs a towel in his mouth to gag. Oh, my dog. did I reach that stage? The day ends again and then, my darling, here comes that breakdown
And of course, you're all intrigued, so here's the cover of the girl group song, rechristened She Cried instead of He Cried.
When I told her I did not love her anymore, she cried. When I told her her kisses were not like before, she cried. She cried. She cried.
The sinister I Burnt Your Clothes up next. That's one way of dealing with a broken relationship, I suppose.
I had no knife but myself. It was me I cut, but you bled as well. How could I help, my dear sweet pretty one, when I could not put down the gun? And I don't know your name, sweet baby Jane. You're fine and unbelievable. I left you in the hospital and you never stitched away. The doctors cut the clothes right off your back. And guess what? I don't care about who or what. Oh, when I wear heaven knows I burnt your clothes.
And now for one of those few covers which I think bests the original, and I think he makes White Wedding completely his own. You know, sometimes when a cover in the hands of someone else, I don't think the people who originally wrote it could perceive that the words they wrote can be sort of, even though he uses the same words, but the meaning becomes completely different because of the delivery.
Little sister, what have you done? Little sister, who's your own? Little sister, who's your Superman? Little sister, who's the one you want? Little sister, shotgun, it's a nice day to start here. It's a nice day for a white wedding.
Okay, we'll just do one more, because otherwise I may as well just not be in this video and just play the record front to back. So we'll end with the second last track, Autoluminescent.
I'm blinding, autoluminescent. I am white heat. I am heaven sent. I was a nightmare, but I'm not gonna go there again.
Well, thanks for watching. Rowland S. Howard, one of the all-time Australian music legends. I was going to say my opinion, but it's just fact. He's had so much far-reaching influence, probably influenced a lot of bands that you're into from the late 80s and the 90s, especially in the underground independent scene. A magnificent guitarist. A guitarist truly had his own sound and aesthetic. Just a quick side story. I remember seeing a gig years ago at a festival, and Rowland S. Howard was meant to play, and their gear didn't turn up, and one of the other bands donated their gear, and Rowland was known for playing Jags and Jazz Masters. And I can't remember what amplifier he used to always play, but the band that he was playing with, I think he played a Vox for some reason, and then it was weird to see him on stage playing a Gibson and through a Marshall stack, and Rowland unplugged all of the effects pedals, plugged straight in, and he sounded exactly like Rowland, and you could see the band side stage with their jaws on the ground thinking, how is he making our gear sound like that? Sometimes it's just how you play and the way you are. Anyway, Rowland S. Howard, teenage snuff film. Highly recommended. And thanks for having a little listen on Let's Have a Listen. See you in the next one.